But I'm also really interested in how race influences our experiences in the making community. Also really interested in just how race in general shapes experience in the US and other places. I'm a sociologist. I have a PhD in sociology, and most of my work has been on race. I am also a certified lay minister in the United Methodist Church. And so I come from a place of really wanting to call people in to conversation about race in beloved community. And I follow the teachings of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who said that really beloved community is a place where everyone can belong, where love of humanity is at the center. So we start and end with love. So that's where I'm coming from. So I hope you'll stick around. So generally what I do first is I talk about what's happening. I say habari gani, that's Swahili for what's happening or what's the news. Then we do some elimu, which is Swahili for education. Then we will move into kuumba, that means creativity, where I'll talk about what I've been working on. And then ujamaa, which is cooperative economics. So I'll be sharing some of the things that I have acquired since the last podcast, if I have anything. So that's the format. So let's jump right into habari gani. What's the news? I already mentioned the storm that has kept us indoors for most of the weekend. My husband is actually out snowblowing again. We have gotten about 15 inches of snow where I am in a very short period of time. So keeping up with that has been a challenge for communities who have been affected by the storm, and lots of businesses were closed last night and today. It's supposed to get really, really dangerously cold tonight and tomorrow morning. So we might have another school delay tomorrow. But it's given me a lot of time to just sit and knit, which has been great. I have two Yorkies. There they are, sitting on my little couch. Just enjoying some lazy time. They're both asleep right now. Their names are Corbin and Jet. And Corbin had dental surgery late last week. He actually had to have 3 teeth removed. He's not that old. He's only 5 or 6. But Yorkies have really bad teeth, apparently. The Yorkie that I had before, his name was Nico. Some of you got to meet him. He didn't have any teeth. They were all removed because they were just in terrible shape. But yeah, so Corbin had 3 teeth taken out. So that was an adventure, but our vet is fantastic. So he is doing very well after those extractions. What else have we done since the last podcast? Oh, I got to host my making group here at my house last week. That was pretty fun. The group is called Yarn Therapy, but we meet on Thursday evenings. And the place that we usually meet is closed for renovation right now, so we haven't been able to meet there. So we've just been taking turns hosting each other, and that's been great. So they all got to come to my house last week, so that was a lot of fun. There's nothing like sitting around and just talking, and sometimes I just sit and I don't even knit. I just listen to the conversation and to the sounds of needles and hooks making things. It's very calming and relaxing for me. So I just appreciate that group of folks who have become friends over the time that we've been meeting. So that was fun. Yeah, that's what's been happening. Not a ton of stuff since the last time. Life just keeps lifing. I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later when we get into Elimu. I know my camera view looks crooked because it is, and I'm not quite sure I have to adjust my tripod, I guess, but I hope that's not too annoying for some of you. But this is a low production podcast, if you don't know. All right, Elimu. Couple of things I wanted to talk about today. One is fascism. Do you know what fascism is? I really believe that we are moving into a fascist state based on the things that have been happening over the last year in the US. If you've ever read the book 1984 or The Handmaid's Tale, the things that we have seen happening here, particularly over the last 6 or 8 months, those things would be familiar to you if you've read either of those books, which is about what it is like to live in a fascist government. But if you don't know what fascism is, there's a really good resource. There's a professor by the name of Jason Stanley. He is a Yale professor who has written a lot about fascist governments, and he's got several really good books on fascism. But a good one to start with is actually called How Fascism Works: The Politics of Us Versus Them. And he really spells out the characteristics of a fascist government. And he's also appeared on a number of like news shows as a expert on fascism. So if you Google his name, you can find some of those video clips. Um, but yeah, we really need to think about ways that we can resist what is happening. And I know that all of us aren't in the same place in terms of our comfort level to do that. Not all of us feel comfortable going out and protesting. Not all of us feel comfortable confronting people when we see things that are happening that we don't think are right. But you can call your congressional representatives. You can also do what makers do and engage in some making. And I wanted to share with you a couple of ways that you can do that. There's a couple of patterns that you can make. And you can make, they're both hats, and you can make them and share them. You can make them and wear them. Whatever you feel comfortable doing. One hat is actually a free pattern by the designer Daniel Elawar, Elawar. It's a pattern where you can, it's a hat pattern where that says abolish ICE, or you can put other things on it if you choose. But again, that's a free pattern. I will link his webpage below so that you can check that out. Even though the pattern is free, it would be great if you can support his work by buying him a coffee. He has a coffee link on his webpage. All of his patterns are free. So he doesn't design for money. He wants his work to be accessible. So I really encourage you to support him by buying him a coffee. Another option, is to make a melt ice hat. That's a design that was created by a group called Yarn Cult Minnesota. That pattern is available on Ravelry, and I'll also link that below. The pattern costs $6, I believe, $5 or $6. But all of the proceeds will go to immigrant aid groups. So it's going for a good cause. So they will distribute that money to organizations that are supporting immigrants. There's both a knit and crochet version of that hat. And I just want to read what the description of the hat says, because I think it's important. And this is what it says. In the 1940s, Norwegians made and wore red pointed hats with a tassel as a form of visual protest against Nazi occupation of their country. Within 2 years, the Nazis made these protest hats illegal and punishable by law to wear, make, or distribute. So it was a really effective form of protest that apparently the Nazis took note of, because they then made the wearing, making, and distribution of those hats illegal. Just like the pink hats that were made a few years ago, this is another opportunity to make a hat that communicates your support of democracy in the US. So check both of those out, the Abolish Ice pattern and the Melt Ice hat. And again, those are linked below for you to check out. The other thing I wanted to talk about is based on a comment that a viewer made on my last episode. So I mentioned that I am a certified lay minister in the United Methodist Church. And so sometimes on this channel, I talk about things related to being a follower of Jesus and trying to walk this life of being a follower of Christ. I am a very progressive follower of the way. And one thing that I talked about last week was that when you study the Bible, it's really important to take what the Bible has to say in context. That you can't read the Bible as literally true, because each part of the Bible was written for a particular group of people at a particular time in history. As a sociologist, that kind of contextual read is really important for me because I know that context matters for your experience, for the way that you perceive things, for the issues that are important for you, all of those things. And this particular commenter was challenging that assumption that we shouldn't take the Bible as literally true. And I wanted to respond to that. I didn't want to get into it in the comments because I just don't think that's an appropriate way to have a discussion about these theological ideas. But the Bible cannot be taken literally, in my view, because there are things in the Bible that are kind of crazy. So just a couple of examples. These are some examples from the Old Testament, but in Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verses 20 through 21, it says that you should stone your daughter if your daughter has sex outside of marriage. In Leviticus 20, verses 9 and 10, it says that you should do two things. Put to death children who dishonor their parents, and to put to death women who commit adultery. Now, we can't take those things to be literally true. Like, we're not going to stone someone for having sex outside of marriage. We're not going to murder children who disobey their parents. We're not going to execute women who commit adultery. Like, that's just ridiculous. And there are many other examples of those kinds of things in the Bible. That in our society, you would actually get prosecuted for doing if you follow the Bible literally. And a lot of people, when you bring up things like that, they say, well, that's not, those aren't the kinds of things that I am talking about when I say that the Bible is literally true and that it's inerrant, meaning without error. But the issue with that is that then if that's your argument, then we are cherry picking what we're going to say is literally true and what isn't. And if you're going to cherry pick, that's a form of contextually reading the Bible. So you're not actually taking the Bible as literally true and inerrant. You're performing a contextual read of the Bible. So that's one thing. The other thing is that there are places where the Bible is not clear. There are places where the Bible is actually contradictory. It says one thing in one place and the opposite in another place. Or it states one thing in one place and something different about that same thing in a different place. A good example of this is in the book of Genesis. In the first chapter of Genesis, it says that animals were created before humans. I think that's the order. And then in the second chapter of Genesis, it says humans were created before animals. So which was it? In the New Testament, there are discrepancies in the genealogy of Jesus that is presented. So there are places in the Bible where things aren't clear, where there are contradictions, where because of the way that society has changed over time, there are things that you just can't do anymore, like stone your daughter for having sex outside of marriage. And instead of grappling with those contradictions and problems in the Bible, we like to just say, well, the Bible is true and we shouldn't question. But actually, I think that comes from fear, right? But the more you question what's in the book, it's been my experience, and I've talked to this with other people, grappling with those difficult texts is what helps your faith grow. It doesn't move you away from God. It moves you closer to God. So that's where I'm coming from in my stance on the Bible. And I also am a Jesus Christian, meaning I follow the way of Jesus. And the way of Jesus is love. Love first. Love primarily. Love was first and foremost. Jesus himself said that the first and greatest commandment was to love God. And equally important, those were his words, equally important was love of neighbor and self. So that's where I'm coming from. And I hope that addresses the question that the commenter had on my thinking about the Bible. All right. Kuumba, creativity. I don't have any FOs. It has been too soon since the last episode for me to have finished anything. I am a slow knitter. So I don't do anything fast. Although I have been really cranking on one of my projects. But I'll show you where I'm at with some things. One thing I started not that long ago was the Afrit hat pattern. That's a pattern by Fatima Hines, who is Disturbing the Fleece. That's her website. I will link her website below. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Fatima in a minute. But started this hat, and I can't tell you anything about the yarn because it's yarn that was in my stash for a very long. It's been in my stash for a very long time. I had wound it up, and I didn't keep the ball bands. So I have no idea what this yarn is, but I'm holding two yarns together. One is a lace weight, and the other, I think this might be some Barocco something or other. But this is like a mohair silk blend, which I like to get for hats. I've talked about this before, but putting some kind of silk blend in a hat that you're making for folks who have curly hair is really important, so it doesn't pull your hair out, basically. So I try to make hats for my curly haired friends with silk in them. But this has a really cool cable pattern. Lots of Fatima's patterns do. And this is just, it's really nice. It's a really nice knit. The only issue I have is that because I'm holding two yarns together, my gauge is way off. I didn't do a gauge swatch because I'm lazy that way. So I think this is going to end up being a neck warmer instead, which is fine with me. It's going to be for me, unless somebody takes it from me, which happens a lot. And that's fine. So I'm just going to do another couple of repeats of the chart pattern. Well, until I run out of yarn. And then be done. But I love it. It feels great because of that mohair silk blend. Love the color. Very subtle. And this will go with a lot of things because it's really kind of neutral. Pretty neutral palette. So again, this is the Afrit hat pattern by Fatima Hines, who is disturbing the fleece. And I'm using my stitch markers that I got in my Kwanzaa box from Carol at Chicken Coop Dye Works. These needle stoppers, little dog paws. I can't remember where I got these, but they're cute, aren't they? Yeah. So that's that. And I have this in my Juneteenth project bag, which I got from Lady Dye. Lady Dye yarns, I don't know that she's dyeing yarn anymore. But she had some great colorways. She did things like this where she had some yarn paired with a pattern and a project bag for things like Juneteenth. So that was great. So that's what that is. This project I showed last time. It's in a bag that I got from my previous yarn shop, Herbs and Thistles. And I showed you this Mom's Hug baby sweater. And the body is done now. Isn't that cute? Sorry about all the threads and stuff, but isn't that cute? So I'm almost done with this sleeve, and then I'll finish this sleeve. And I just need to find some cute buttons for the front here. So I made a lot of great progress on this. And I have a, I guess that was where I was last time we talked, I think. This is a Progress Keeper from Just Whitney Marie on Instagram. She is a black maker. She has some crochet patterns on her website and lots of really great stitch markers and progress keepers. And she also has lots of really cool crochet hooks. So check out Just Whitney Marie's website. I will link her below. Try not to forget to do that. And then the last thing I want to show you is the Autumn Alpine sweater that I have been working on for my daughter. And I've made a lot of progress on that because I've been kind of focused on this while we've been stuck in the house. Look at that. So I think I've got about 2 more inches to do here on the body, and then the pattern has you do some short rows to bring the back down, and then you start the pattern for the band, the waistband of the sweater. And then I'll go back and do the sleeves, and I'll be done. This is the fastest I have ever worked on a sweater, I must say. This color work pattern was very enjoyable. Loved it. I've talked about the yarn before, so you can find those links below, that information below. But I bought it at For You in Oberlin, Ohio. That shop is also linked below. For You is a Black-owned yarn shop, and could really use our support right now because financially times are very difficult. You know, our making is something that we do with our disposable income, and a lot of people just don't have disposable income right now. And yarn shops all over the country are feeling the squeeze of that. So whatever you can do to support your local yarn shop is important. But we don't have very many Black-owned or minority-owned, BIPOC-owned yarn shops in the U.S. Less than 15. So supporting them is especially important during this time in particular. But love the yarn. Really have been enjoying this pattern. I talked about this last time, but I'm not real sure about this neckline. I showed it to my daughter. We FaceTime last week, and she thinks it's fine. And so I think when it's done, I'll block it, see what it looks like. I'll just send it to her and have her try it on. And she said she would be fine with it no matter what. I was like, I know, but I might not be fine with it. So we'll see. But I'm just going to send it to her and see what it looks like when she puts it on. And then, you know, I'm sure I'll have some yarn left. I can fix it later if we need to fix it. So those are the whips that I've been working on most over the last couple of weeks. I also started a hat here. It's just sitting on my desk. I don't know what pattern I'm using. I just cast it on because I was in a meeting and needed something to quiet my mind while I was listening to the meeting. So yeah, that's it for whips. I did want to spend some time talking about the Black History Make-a-Long. So let's move into our Ujamaa area of the podcast, cooperative economics. So I haven't, well, I've acquired some things. It's just, I don't have them yet. I made some purchases, but I don't have them yet. One purchase I made was from For You. I purchased some yarn so that I can make a sweater for myself. And I'll talk about that when I get that yarn. But it's yarn from a Black-owned yarn shop. Yarn, most of the yarn is by a Black yarn dyer, which is awesome. So I'll talk about that when it comes. I'm hoping I'll have it next week. And I hope to do a podcast next week to talk more about the Black History Make-a-Long in terms of helping folks connect with Black designers, Black-owned yarn shops, Black makers, so that you have some new information about where you can support businesses. So one thing that I wanted to tell you is that this year again, I worked with my friend Cindy, who used to own Harps and Thistles, my local yarn shop. She has closed that business, but she is still dyeing yarn. Her yarn company is called 1918 Yarn Company. And the last 3 years, we have worked together to develop a Black History Month colorway that focuses on a Black woman. And so, for example, last year, we did a colorway to honor Armelda Green and the Golden 14. Those were the first Black women who were allowed to serve in the armed forces. This year, we are honoring Aline Cole Stewart, who was one of the first Black women to serve in the Army Nurse Corps in 1918. I love this colorway. I'm going to insert a picture here so you can see what it looks like. I don't have it here with me yet. I'll have one in the next podcast. But Aline Cole Stewart and the other nurses that were allowed to serve in the Army Nurse Corps, they got called up. So let me back up. So the way that Black women were recruited for potential armed service was through the Black nurses in particular, was through the Red Cross. So the Red Cross would interview them, and these women just were on a list. They never got called up because, again, the armed forces did not allow Black women to serve. So when the 1918 flu pandemic hit, they actually needed these Black nurses because a lot of the white nurses were serving in World War I. So there was actually a nursing shortage. And so because of that, these small group of Black women were called up to serve in the Army Nurse Corps. Some of them here in Ohio, where I am at, which is kind of cool. So this colorway is to honor Aline Cole Stewart and those women. It's especially important to me that we are honoring nurses because I come from a family of nurses. I am not a nurse myself, but my mother is a nurse. She's retired, of course, but my mother is a nurse. I have two sisters that are nurses. I have an aunt and an uncle who were nurses. So there's my stepmother was a nurse. So I come from a family of nurses. So I'm just really proud of all of them for doing that difficult work. So really, really happy to have this colorway that honors Ms. Stewart, but also in my mind honors all of those nurses in my family for their hard work. One thing that we're going to do this year is Cindy is going to offer a kit of the colorway. The kit will be a skein of the Aline Cole Stewart colorway and 2 minis, as well as a shawl pattern by Fatima Hines. The shawl pattern is called Weak Moral Fiber, and I'm actually wearing mine. I made this pattern some years ago, and I love this yarn. It's a nice light shawl, but let me take it off so I can show you some of the details. So it's pretty long for one skein because it's kind of shallow. It's the perfect size to wrap around your neck, and I wear this thing all day in the winter at work. But it's really, really cool. I love the eyelet detail here. Love it. And so the minis help you do the stripes at the bottom. So I used yellow and blue for my stripes. And I didn't do them exactly as the pattern indicated. And you'll see that when you see the photograph of on the pattern. But you can be a little creative like I was. But again, it's a really nice, quick pattern, very beginner friendly. So if you haven't made a shawl before and you want to try, this is a good one to try. But yeah, I love this. I actually bought the pattern because I saw Fatima's description of why it was named the way that it was. Again, the name of the pattern is Weak Moral Fiber. And she actually said that the title is a nod to people who criticized or harassed people outside of clinics when they were just trying to get medical care. So I think it's appropriate for the given moment that we find ourselves in. I think that one of the reasons why we are in the situation that we are in is because our representatives aren't standing up the way that they should be for democracy. They're being really ineffective right now. So yeah. And I think it's also appropriate given that we are honoring Black women nurses with this colorway. Um, so, so yeah, that's what we're doing. This particular colorway was done by Willie Knits. He is not dying anymore. I think he's focusing on teaching instead. But yeah, he had this really cool colorway. And then the blue and the yellow that I used were leftovers from Chicken Coop Dye Works, I believe. So yarn by Black Dyer or Black Dyers and pattern by Black designer. So definitely check out the kit. The link is below. You can also just buy the yarn if you're not interested in the kit. And it's available in both fingering weight and DK. And I have ordered both weights myself. So yeah, just check it out. If you just want the shawl pattern and you don't need yarn, I'm going to link Fatima's website below. The pattern is $6 on her website. And she's got lots of other patterns as well. So check those out. She is one of my favorite. She's actually my favorite designer, which is why I talk about her a lot. But yeah, definitely check out Fatima's other patterns as well. I will be giving out a kit soon. That'll probably happen right after the MAL starts. I haven't quite figured that out. But Cindy is donating a kit to the podcast for me to give away. So be on the lookout for that. The MAL will start February 1st, as it always does, and it will go until the end of February. So the whole month, because the whole month is Black History Month. The rules are very simple. I get questions about this all the time because people just can't believe how simple it is. So the first thing is that you just have to cast on February 1st or after. So you have to cast on sometime during Black History Month. Okay? You do not have to finish your project. If you cast it on, you will be eligible for prizes. How do you get entered into the drawing for prizes? This is how. Everything that you do that I'm going to tell you will get you an entry. So potentially you could get like 5 entries with one project if you do all of those things. So buy something from a Black-owned yarn shop. I have plenty of posts on Instagram where I have tagged the Black-owned yarn shops that I am aware of. I also have a link in my Instagram bio to an article that I wrote on Black-owned yarn shops, some of which have since closed. So keep that in mind. And in my next podcast episode, I'll be talking more about Black-owned yarn shops, Black designers, all of those things, and giving you a more comprehensive list. But Black-owned yarn shops, make a purchase from a Black-owned yarn shop. That's an entry. Use a pattern by a Black designer. That's an entry. Use a project bag by a Black maker. That's an entry. Use stitch markers or progress keepers from a Black maker. That's an entry. Use yarn from a Black dyer. That's an entry. That's 5 entries right there. Okay. And again, all you gotta do is cast on. You don't have to finish your project because this is only a month. So, and I realize that there are things that are difficult to do in a month. I always bite off more than I can chew. But I have purchased the Aline Cole Stewart colorway. I told y'all that. I'm going to be making another weak moral fiber in that colorway. I think I'm going to give that to my mom. And then I purchased some DK to make a couple of hats. So I'm hoping those are things that I can, at least one of those I can get done in the month of February. That's the goal. So the other thing that you should be aware of is that Instagram makes it very difficult for me to see who is actually participating. So the hashtags that I have used in the past don't always show me all of the posts for the Black History Make-a-Long. So there are 2 ways to make me aware that you are entering for giveaways. You should certainly post on social media and tag me so I can see what you make. I want to see your makes. I want to know what makers you are supporting, because you might be supporting somebody that I don't know about yet, and I want to learn too. So certainly tag me in your posts on Instagram. But to enter for giveaways, you need to enter either on Ravelry, and there's a forum set up for that, and I will link that below. Or because you can do both, you need to join my Discord server and post on the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, you should send me a message on Instagram. I don't like to post the link because I want to keep it a beloved community. Amen. So send me a message on Instagram and I'm happy to share the link that way. And again, the link to the Ravelry will be below with other links. The other thing that I have done, because so many people have asked for it, is I started a Ravelry bundle that features Black designers and any Black-owned yarn companies that I could find that are on Ravelry. So check that out. That will be linked below as well. It's a really good source for patterns, and I have both knitters and crocheters listed there. So definitely check that out. And I think that's it for now. If you have questions about the Black History Make-a-Long, comment below, and I will do my best to answer those expeditiously. In the meantime, I will see you in a couple of weeks, hopefully. All right. Bye.